everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Pierre, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 2, Episode 20. It is called Static, and this is the 5th episode shot in videotape. There's one more. We're almost through this nightmare. Do you know what I hate? I hate how they've been spread throughout the entire season, because, I mean, we've only got 9 episodes left, and there's still one left. Like, I don't know.
It seems like a strange experiment to then film them back to back and then, like, I don't know, just play them anytime in the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know like how they decide the order of these. I mean, especially with Twilight Zone, where obviously the order is irrelevant, but they're so out of order, because obviously these 6 were shot back to back. They must have been, because they all have this same technical thing. So it's just weird. I don't know. Anyway, Static is about an old timer, an old man named Ed, who lives in a boarding house with a bunch of other old people, and he's frustrated that they're all glued to the TV screen. And despite the fact that that's the complaint I'm about to make, and this is not a complaint about the episode, but the complaint I'm about to make about people like this is irrelevant in this episode, because it's not really about the. I mean, he pretends this is why he's upset, but it's not really why. But for someone saying, "Oh, you're all glued to the TV. Oh, it's melting your brains," for that same person to then be glued to a radio is like, why is that any different? It's just because it's audio only does not make it less of a
vice.
A vice, yes. Thank you. Yes, that's what Tara's on this show, because she gets words right.
That's not a title that I deserve.
Okay, fine. Tara's on this show because she will graciously correct me when I'm wrong, which she very much enjoys doing. So, look at that smug smile. So, but anyway, he finds this old radio, this old wireless, down in the basement, and he takes it up to his room, and he hears a radio station play a song from a show that he thinks is live, but is actually from 20 years ago. It's from 1940. And he tries to let the other people listen to it, including a woman that he was kind of engaged to at one point, including like this guy, the professor, who he's kind of friends with. And every time he brings anyone else into his room to listen to the radio, he can't find that station. But whenever they leave, he can find it again. And he listens to these old-time classics, and he gets kind of obsessed. So that's the premise of the episode. Obviously, we'll talk about where it goes later. But Tara, how did you feel about Static?
I like it. I think it's pretty good. It's not like a new subject to this show, this series. It's a man nostalgic for time past, but I do like the reasons why he's nostalgic for it. I think that is a more unique storytelling for this type of show.
I think the nostalgia here is more tied to regret, because it's not just so much that. Because in the other examples, it was like, the actor who ended up going into the past and seeing like younger versions of his wife and everyone else. Like, this was the good old days, and then eventually, his wife passed away or whatever. Whereas this is different. This is like he never took the road.
This is linked. Yeah, this is linked to a decision that he made, a choice that he made, and it was the wrong choice, a choice that clearly he regrets, just because his life, where he just ended up being a curmudgeony old man who hates everything. But what could have been if he, took the other road? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting is that the ending doesn't try to like even tell us that he's wrong for being nostalgic, because a lot of those other episodes were either the memories of the past inform who you are, so use them to be a part of who you are, or in other hands, nostalgia can be dangerous. Don't be too obsessed with the past. This doesn't really make either of those points. This just kind of leaves it on this sad place where it's kind of a bittersweet, like, sad ending, where he's just kind of lost in his like fantasies of the past and what could have been. And part of me was jealous, because there's a point where this woman Vinny comes in, and she has this serious talk with him, because this is where we find out that this was their song and they were engaged, and she says it's not a coincidence that what you're hearing is something tied to like a big decisive moment in your life, where you chose not to go down this path. And I feel like I was kind of yelling internally at the screen. I was like, guys, it's never too late to just. I mean, you can be in your 60s and get married and just have a happy, last decade or so. It's fine.
They're not in love anymore, though.
That's true.
Like she says, it's okay. I understand. Like it's almost like she just tells a story, like a really sad version of people who were in love, and then said they were going to get married, and then things just came up, and they never did it, and then they fell out of love, and they just kind of live their lives separately now, but under the same house.
I think I'm too much of a romantic, because I guess what I'm agreeing with here is that, yeah, it's kind of, it's not so much that he actually still in love with her and he wishes he said, he wishes he did it because he still wants to do it. He just regrets feeling like he wants to. Yeah,
and I think he does. He regrets. I think he is nostalgic for that time when he was happy, when everything was going, like, seemed to be going right, and then he doesn't really know where things went wrong. It's just the things that he had planned never happened.
And
maybe out of laziness, who knows? Like,
it's actually a bit more nuanced, that it's not that he's still in love with her. It's just that, the fact that he doesn't want that anymore. He just, he regrets, he misses the time when he did want that and he was happy in that time. I think that's a little bit more nuanced, so maybe give the episode credit for taking that take, especially since it doesn't have some big resolution. The final scene is him actually, they've got both the actors try to look younger. I did laugh at one point, because when she's saying all this to him halfway through the episode, she says at one point, yeah, you were a young man, and I was like, well, it was only 20 years ago. He was still in his mid-40s. Like, it's not like he was, 24. I mean, he wasn't that young. Because I think the line that not that I think of that as being super old, but the line she had that really made me go, wait a minute. She's like, you had your whole life ahead of you. No, in your mid-40s, you're kind of halfway. You're kind of halfway through. You're not.
Okay. Mid-40s is not that old.
No, it's not that old, but it's not. You're not. Your whole life's not ahead of you at that age.
Well, I mean,
they call it middle age for a reason.
Okay, fine. Well, he still had to live that whole life again before he dies. Yes. In time. In time. In years.
Tara, we're in the same age bracket. Stop acting like I'm calling you old.
I am not.
And for the record, that made it sound like Tara's in her 40s. She's not. I just want to make that clear. I don't want us to come back at me.
It won't be too long till I am.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little defensive.
No, so I think that's a little bit more nuanced. And there's this kind of sadness because, like, he's all excited when he first hears this song playing, and he's telling them all about it at dinner. And he wants to let them hear it, and he tries to do it in a little portable radio station, and it's not really working. So he's like, "Oh, come up to the room and let me show you." And they kind of hear it, and they're kind of like, it's all right, old chum. We'll maybe we'll hear it next time. And we cut ahead a little bit, and he's at the point where he brings people, he brings in some groceries, he brings stuff for people, and he immediately is like, I'm going up to the room. I'm not going to hang out with you guys. I'm not playing checkers with you, Professor. I'm not watching TV with the rest of you. I'm going up because my program's on at 3, then my other program's on at 4 on the radio.
Yeah.
And he's talking about these radio shows that literally aren't broadcasting. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting.
And when he gets up there, he finds out that they've sold his radio.
That's true.
Yeah, they gave it away.
That's the turn. And he like a crack addict goes to the junk guy and tries to get his radio back. Which he does. He does get it back. He pays for it. He pays $10 for it, and takes it back with him. And that's kind of what leads to the Final Fantasy. Oh, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to say it like that. You know what I mean? The final sequence of the episode. That's where that name came from. I think the creators of Final Fantasy were watching this episode, and someone said that out loud and went, "Hey, that's a good title. We should."
Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, we should use that. Alliteration.
Yeah, I think when his fantasy wife walks in and says and is also just excited to hear the next program. One of the things she mentions is Ed Wynn comes on the radio next, who is an actor in one of the episodes we watched. So I don't know if he was a radio person or not, or if it was just a mistake, or I don't know. I just noticed the name Ed Wynn. I'm like, oh yeah, he was actually in the second episode of the Twilight Zone. That
could just be maybe he was a radio guy, or it could be like a little homage. Maybe maybe for some reason. I don't know if he passed away around this time, maybe, and they wanted to give him a little.
Maybe actually.
I don't know.
I don't think he lived too long after he did his Twilight Zone episode. He did the one where
he was a salesman, right? The huckster?
Yeah, the salesman. Yeah.
Salesman with the heart of gold.
Yeah. Saves a little girl. Death comes to visit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Death comes to visit. that describes a fair number of Twilight Zone episodes. Not as many as I thought so far, but we've still got a lot to go. So
we still scratched the surface of this series. What did I sign up for?
We're further on than you give us credit for, because season 4 is only half the number of episodes. So I mean, they're twice as long.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
never long.
But we'll get through them in half as many weeks.
You're right.
So that's something to hold on to. I did laugh at him trying to he was changing the channels, and because I actually said to myself kind of out loud when they said, "Oh, do you want to change the channel?" And he starts changing the channels, and I'm like, "Wait, this is like 1960. There's like 3 channels. Wait, like how many can you find?" And to be fair, he only looks at 3 different channels.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because this is a time where you just sat down and you accepted what was ever on. There was no choice really outside of channel 1, 2, or 3. Like that was basically it.
I mean, that was the case for a long time.
It was.
I mean, even when I was a kid watching, I mean, it wasn't until maybe around 2000s that, like when the cable boxes I mean, up until like around 2000, I had only like 30 something channels, and it was you just studied the TV guide until you found something that you wanted to watch, and you had to make sure you were there for it.
Yeah, I think I had cable before that, but I mean, but at least us growing up, we had VCRs. I mean, we did have stuff that was taped.
Yeah, but we did too, but we only had like a few tapes that we were allowed to use, and then you had to sacrifice something.
No, I had a bookcase filled with tapes that I recorded stuff off of TV from. That was
we had some like movies that were recorded that we weren't allowed to touch, or like a lot of my dad got into like home movies for a while, so those weren't allowed to be touched. I think some of them got recorded over with cartoons.
No, I was just that sort of stuff makes me think of that. It was because when we were arguing as well at the dinner table about, so you must have heard a recording of this show from the 40s, and the other guys like, they didn't have tape back then. They couldn't record it. I said, but they did have this, and they kind of have this little debate about how could they record it, and it reminded me, funnily enough, of a story. For some reason, there was a VHS tape circulating this was a few years ago, of a recording of a Star Trek episode, right? Off of the broadcast that had the ads in between it. And then someone stopped and went, wait a minute, VCRs didn't exist in the 60s when this was recorded, so what recorded this? And obviously someone transferred it to a VHS tape at some point, but where did this must have come from a studio who had the ads baked into it. That's insane that it exists. But that's how rare finding something with the ads recorded from before VCRs is that so the same kind of conversation here is that, well, they could broadcast radio, but there wasn't much in the way of recording a lot of it. It wasn't as easy at the time. So I like that debate, because even at one point the professor says like, some stuff we thought was impossible a few years ago is now now everyday life, and I'm like, yeah, it's just so funny watching this in hindsight now, where like everything you have seems like ancient compared to what we have, but. It makes me think about it whenever we watch something best that specifically focuses on a technological thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how well that transfers just because to every generation, just because there's always new advancements in technology, and the last thing immediately seems old.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because I mean, just think about us growing up and like when we were young, like there was no such thing as social media. There was no such thing as I mean, cell phones existed, but not everyone had one. I had
a car phone. I mean, my family had a car phone. It's a big deal.
I just imagine a little 10-year-old Tara with a pager and a car phone. Did all that big business in the 90s.
That's right. They work you hard in Canada.
Buy, sell. Honestly, it's an easy to watch episode. I think this episode basically lives or dies on the performances of the two leads, specifically Ed and Vinny. I think the professor's all right for what he is as well, but it's those two characters. Like if those two didn't have the weight in their scenes and the conversations, I think his performance is not bad. It's not an amazing episode. I don't think it's going to be one that's super memorable, but I think I think
it's pretty good though.
Yeah, for a kind of lower key episode, I was a perfectly.
I think this is a much better version of the 16 millimeter shrine. Another very
I can see
similar
that.
style, but this
And
one has a lot more like nuance, like you said.
I feel like people would. I feel like you're in the minority there, and although I might agree with you, to be honest, but I feel like we'd be in the minority saying that. I think most people would rate that one higher.
Well, that one is, I would say, darker. But this one, I think this one feels heavier, you know, because it is like a tragedy. If it just, I don't know, because it seems more grounded. It's just a guy who's just lost in a fantasy.
Yeah, no, I agree. So not bad at all. You know, there's things to like about it.
These videotape episodes have been pretty good.
The first one wasn't. That was the robot one. It was in the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't that good. But yeah, no, they've been decent to good. Or I think 22 I'd even go as far as to say that was a bit great.
Yeah.
So, no, there you go. So that's Static. You can let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Oh, I didn't tell you what's coming next time. I always do that.
You know what? I say this every week that I think Rod Serling doesn't do the... He definitely didn't this time because I checked.
No, he didn't. You've been wrong. Well, I don't know if there was ever a time you were right, but certainly in the last few weeks when you've said that, you've been wrong. So that's one he definitely did not come on to talk about it. The next episode, though, is called The Prime Mover. That almost sounded like the Prime Directive. I almost went into directive there at the end of that phrase. Yeah, Prime Mover, a compulsive gambler. Oh God, we're getting another.
Oh boy.
The slot machine, the fever.
No.
A compulsive gambler cajoles his friend into his telekinesis to affect the results of the gambling tables in Las Vegas. Oh, okay.
Must be either craps or roulette, I imagine.
Hey, telekinesis. So, yeah, we're getting some telekinesis next episode, so we'll see how that is. Apparently, Rod Selling's not that proud of it, though, because he didn't come out to tell us about it at the end of the
Apparently
episode.
not, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. But there you go. That is what's coming next time. So let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates. Of course, you can support us by liking. Like is really important on YouTube and helps us out for free. But you can also support us, and I'm forgetting. I was going to make Tara do the intro for this one, and I forgot to do it. But she can still do the Patreon plug. Tara, take it away.
Well, yes. If you like what we do and you want to support the channel, support us, check out our Patreon page. Yes, check it out. It's patreon.com/MalfuzzTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month,
Just
you will
$1?
get access to... You're just trying to screw me up on purpose because
I'm
love
not.
it.
I'm trying to give you some like added, you know.
You know I'm not a yes-ander. I don't improv.
Okay, all right. I'll leave you alone. Take it away.
All right, I have to start all over.
What?
Why, yes. Yes, you can check out our Patreon page, and if you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get access to bonus episodes of other shows we do, including the ACE, the Atomic Cinema Experiment, which is our science fiction movie review show. You can get access to movies like Trancers and Judge Dredd and some David Carradine specials. So check that out. And if you donate as low as $5 per month, you will get access to our reviews 1 week early. Right?
For Twilight Zone, yes.
Yep. So please check it out. Thank you.
There you go. All right. Well, that about sums it up. That was elegant. Is it elegant? No. Like Tonya Harding doing a triple axel.
Well, thank you. She was good at that.
Yes. And yes, I know. The implication also being that if I don't say something nice, she'll break my leg later. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.